shocker whatsoever. You had the U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg. So this Boasberg asshole, he says that it's not going to suffer any injury whatsoever. So they're not going to stop the pipeline. The pipeline will go through, according to the U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg. It's also the reason why you had that Jack the Hack, foul, dimple, Jack Dalrymple, the governor of North Dakota, who went ahead and issued the the martial law emergency order and pulled out the National Guards. So you got essentially a Kent State, you got a Kent State situation brewing, you got a second wounded knee incident brewing, and this is all amidst concerns of essentially a global monetary system meltdown. So just recently, you have all these insecurities and these fears. So you have this one guy who's part of the Federal Reserve, one of the head of the bank, and he just said, my personal view, based on data that we have received to date, it is a reasonable case can be made for continuing to pursue a gradual normalization of monetary policy. That doesn't sound too radical, does it? Continuing to pursue a gradual normalization of monetary policy. This was the biggest one-day drop since Brexit. Today, the Dow dropped 400 points, and in America, the Dow is our moral compass. If we're not able to make money, if we're not able to continue growth, we're the ones that dictate the entire global, securities, the entire global monetary system, the entire, we're the world's reserve currency, or we have been for a long-ass time. So if we aren't able to, if the dollar fails, then we're going to be fucked. And I don't know if we've been working on any backup plans. The rest of the world are working up on backup plans, but we, however, are not. And so it fell $400 or 400 points. It's at 18,000 now, and that's the worst one-day drop since June 24th. So July, August, up to 2.5 months. But Brexit, the stock market dropped 610 points, and then it dropped 400 points just recently. So you have all this market volatility. You had those 3 billionaires that dropped the Dakota Access Pipeline, but essentially it seems like that the U.S. government policy to helping Americans recover is to keep on giving money to the big banks, keep on giving money to these private corporations, and hope that the private corporations create enough jobs and get our economy going. Instead of actually having public works jobs ourselves, instead of investing in infrastructure, instead of forgiving student loans, instead of doing all the major things that the United States needs to do, Employee Free Choice Act, so we get stronger unions, stronger solidarity. Take a look at Germany. Germany's economy works well because they do socialism and they do capitalism better than us. And so we've just now talked about socialism. We just now talked about that aspect. But that's the human aspect. That's the heart. The brain is the conservative. The heart is the liberal. And when have we been talking about the liberal? When have we been talking about the people? So the solidarity of Standing Rock, I am with the people. But that's against the government. That's against what the corporate government, which is fascism, according to Mussolini and FDR, that is fascism, and that's the kind of government that we have. They go along with the Dow Jones. They go along with the stock market. They go along with the global currency. They go along with these big-ass banks. And these big-ass banks, they are investing in this Dakota Access Pipeline. So amid all these insecurity fears, they say, well, we need to make sure that these private projects get off the ground so that it provides some jobs for the few people that, are constructing it. But essentially, it's big oil, and big oil is going to make sure they sell to their own companies because they're competitors, right? Big oil isn't going to sell. You're not going to see BP selling to Shell or seeing Marathon sell to BP or Sunoco selling to anybody else. So this will help Sunoco, and this will help the export market. So this will help China and any of the other countries, throughout the world. That's, that's good for big oil. It's good for a few people, but in terms of, is it good for Standing Rock Reservation? Is it good for the water, the environment, for anything? No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. And so, my heart's in Standing Rock right now, and I'm not sure what they're going to do. It doesn't seem like they're going to leave. And there's also all this data out there that says that there's already an existing pipeline that's there. It's the march of progress. It's growth. The way our entire system is, what I learned in macroeconomics was you produce a bunch of shit, and the economy just goes up. So you have a factory, produce a whole bunch of widgets, now you got to sell those widgets. But if you don't sell the right widgets, then everything collapses, that your business is out. But if everybody's producing a whole bunch of shit, eventually somebody's going to like what you got, and then you have all this moving and shaking and this hustle and bustle, and that's a good economy if you have a hustle and bustle. And for each corporation that wants to drive a profit for their shareholders, they want growth, growth, growth. And growth is, to them, buying up other companies, monopolizing, taking over the entire, game, and putting everybody else out of business. You could do that. You could smash your competition, and growth could also be you enter into all these different markets. So if you're a Walmart, that would be, opening up some stores in Venezuela and Mexico, and by opening up these stores, you're creating growth, and so the wealth helps to go, to the CEO goes to the top of the food chain. It goes to Walmart, and then Walmart can pay dividends to all these different investors, which is good for Walmart, good for the investors, but for the country, I don't know which country, Venezuela, I forget which country I use, but for that country, their money is being taken away and it's being extracted. The raw materials for the factories are being extracted, and then it's just being funneled up, and it's concentrated more and more in the hands of the few. So it's bad for Venezuela, it's bad for the people of Venezuela, but it's great for the Walton family. And it's great for the investors in the stock market. And I don't know if you have any stocks or not. I don't have any stocks. In fact, I heard Donald Trump said he never invested in the stock market. So the stock market is what? An upper middle class people's, gamble. That's what they're playing, the games that they're playing. And then stock market, they also have this thing called quantitative easing. And then they also have, the hedge fund managers. And you have all these people that essentially are able to make a bunch of money by playing games with our system. So if America fails, there are going to be some people that are going to make a shit ton of money. And the way that they did it was they, invested in all the other monetary policies. But that's the thing. When one country fails, you have you have the people in Wall Street who's going to run, and they're going to go ahead and invest. They're going to pull all their money out of the banks. They say don't run with the banks. They'll tell the people to not panic, but those motherfuckers panic. And so they'll put all their money into the yen or into the pound or into the euro or into gold and silver. And that's what they'll do. And because they'll run on the banks, on the greenback, that actually further exacerbates our system. But that's individualism, right? That's capitalism. If you want to go ahead and make sure America fails, make sure the entire economy of America collapses, that's your right as a wealthy American. You're allowed to pull out, and you're allowed to go ahead and invest all your money in the renminbi. The renminbi is now part of the world reserve currency, part of the basket of the SDRs with the IMF and the World Bank. And now you have this guy who just said, my personal view based on data that we have received to date is that it's a reasonable case to be made to continue to pursue a gradual normalization of monetary policy. Continue to pursue a gradual normalization of monetary policy, which means increase in rates. And since they're going to increase the interest rates, then there's going to be less buying and selling of stock, and that made the market worry today. So bad news for the Dow, bad news for Standing Rock Reservation, great news, however, for Kelsey Warren and his Energy Transfer Partners. Now Kelsey Warren can go out and buy a whole bunch more giraffes and zebras. He can buy another private island, so he's going to go ahead and get, lucrative. His position is lucrative in America. In fact, he was surprised. He's like, I can't believe I made all this money in this country. It's almost like I got to the top without anybody noticing that I was even here. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Meanwhile, in Bolivia, you got a labor movement that's so damn strong that they kidnapped the deputy interior minister and killed him because they want to form contracts with the corporations on their own. They didn't want the government intervening. The government wanted to intervene. So you had 15,000 miners staring down 2,500 cops. And eventually 5 miners would get shot out. I'm not defending the kidnapping or the murder. What I am defending is the solidarity. I am very jealous of Standing Rock. When I look at Standing Rock, they have a common unity, a common purpose. They're standing up together. They're standing up for Mother Earth. They're standing up for their water source. They're standing up for themselves and each other. They know who they are. They know what they want, and that's just, that's their culture. That's who they are, and that was very inspiring, and it's something I don't have, and it's something that I wish that I did, and something I'm going to work on. There's a socialist movement. There's workers' councils in Germany. The union, the labor movement in the United States is practically dead. Even the people that support labor movements, your Michael Moores, your Noam Chomskys, they're not a part of a movement. They're not a part of a union. Historically, they see the, purpose for a union. Bernie Sanders, they all talk good about unions, but they're not a part of the union. And that's one of the major problems. We need a big, massive work stoppage. That would put America on notice, and we would demand what we need. You want to get America back? You want to make America great again? Then get Americans to work. Go do what FDR did in order to save us from the Great Depression. Pass the Glass-Steagall Act so these banks are just running roughshod on everybody. Separate investment banking from commercial banking so that way your little savings account isn't being gambled on Wall Street like it is allowed to be done with now. And you have massive public works projects, have massive jobs program, invest in infrastructure, invest in education and healthcare and roads and bridges and pipes. And these forgive student loans, have a moratorium on foreclosures, stop with the, police brutality, because that's what's going to happen with America. We're going to have a shock therapy, and it's going to exacerbate the problems that we already have. And the candidates that are up for election right now won't do any of the things that America needs to do. And since, after World War I, the socialists and the labor movements were crushed. So it's all about capitalism, it's all about corporation, it's all about everybody exploiting the shit out of each other as much as they can. Lie, cheat, steal, whatever it takes, go make that money. You're an American, you're a capitalist, you know what the hell I'm talking about. What you never do, don't talk to your neighbors, don't talk to your families, don't make the collective decisions, don't stand up for democratic practices, don't talk to each other about issues, don't say here's what I believe and give reasons, don't listen to each other, don't talk about the ideals of the Enlightenment, don't tolerate opinions you don't have, and again, don't get into town hall meetings and collectively make any decisions whatsoever. You're a commodity, you sell your body for a wage, and that's who you are. Everything's a commodity, everything can be sold. A drop of water, a little bit of oxygen, a little piece of dirt, love, friendship, community, it's all up for sale. And especially since the market is so volatile now, they are dependent upon these private tycoons, these big-ass money people. And you're telling me that only Energy Transfer Partners can construct a good pipe? I think that's insane to assume that. Energy Transfer Partners has their buddies. They're going to make a bank on all the pipe building and all the gas that they're going to extract from the Bakken region out of North Dakota. They're going to make a shit ton of money. So the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. This is the same mantra. We're in the same situation, and nobody's stopping any of this shit. Nobody's saying, let's take a break and take a step back and actually talk about what America needs to do. We just keep doing the same shit, keep on with the military adventures, keep on invading all these different countries. The Halliburton and the, Lockheed Martin and all the weapons manufacturing, they love that shit. They want to make as much money as they can, so they don't give a shit how many wars we get into. They want us to get into wars. So this is, like I said, this is bad news for Standing Rock Reservation, for the Ocheti Sakowin. This is bad news for the Dow, so for the market, because he said that we're going to have a gradual normalization of monetary policy, which sounds pretty innocuous. A gradual normalization of monetary policy. The renminbi is now going to be a part of the world reserve currency, the SDRs, which is huge, which makes China's currency the equal to the pound, to the euro, to the dollar, and to the yen. So that's the four powerful, people when it comes to money: the Japanese, the Britain, America, and the euro. So now the renminbi, which is the yuan, but there's something about how they exchange the yuan with the renminbi, but the renminbi is what the Chinese are going to use as their currency for the rest of the world, and supposedly you're supposed to be able to change that into the yuan, and we saved China's ass, you know, one time with their monetary, their money was about to collapse, their paper currency. And it's all fiat currency, right? We're off the gold standard. I don't even know if the gold or the silver standard is any less arbitrary than paper. And I'd really actually want to pay attention to this monetary policy thing because we're on floating global interest rates or some shit. Everything's just floating around, and the Fed and the IMF and the World Bank and the G20. I mean, these are the organizations that's holding all this shit together. So anyways, John Masters, September 9th, 2016, 6:20 p.m. Viva la Revolution.